Welcome back, viewers. My next guest is Sindhu Gowthami, who's the founder of Moxieandhopper. Sindhu has over 10 years of experience spread across various sectors with a focus on learning and development. Her education startup, Moxie and Hopper, is into experimental learning. It's a platform that believes in the power of do, discover, and learn. Welcome, Sindhu. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Major. Glad to be here.
You're in an exciting space, education, online, it's all over the place. What got you into it?
Okay, I don't think so. Education was something that I even assumed I'll be in because I was a very roguish child. I never very interested in school and studies. And after a point in time, I realized that I was just learning differently. So I think it was my exposure to Anganwadi schools. Um, One day I was asked to train an Anganwadi school in Karnataka. And I did not know Kannada. I had just been to Bangalore just then. So when I was trying to teach them math, the only way I could connect with them is by, putting together these blocks and telling them one, two, three, and things like that, because language was a major barrier. And still they learned very beautifully. And I was actually called back to that Anganwadi school because I was a very good teacher for them. Believe me, I didn't know a word of Kannada. That is when I realized that I think education is way beyond just books and reading and writing. It has got to do a lot of with doing and learning. So I have been, experimenting with experiential learning for the last 10 years. And I've been using it for all ages across, let's say 3 to, I think, 60 is the oldest guy that I trained.
And especially when it is at an early stage, early ages, experiential learning becomes key, isn't it?
Yes, I think experiential learning, right, is not just age specific at all. Because our learning doesn't really stop at one stage, right? It's not like after you're 18, learning stops. That's not how it works. We have to, whether it's our job, whether it's our everyday life, constant learning is a part of our life. Now, if you put that learning into a shell saying you have to have a structured learning, that is when learning becomes a strenuous process. So, whether it's an early age, whether it's a teenager who's exploring college and just chilling out on like in a basketball field, or if it's a senior manager who's trying to manage a team, experiential learning assists in every kind of learning and every kind of learner.
And this is something that has been missing from our education system, back then, and it's changing now.
Right.
How's your startup going to fit into the new ways of learning?
Okay, I think it's a very strange thing that you said back then, because experiential learning, I think, is a foundation in India because of Gurukul system, right? The teacher used to not tell them to write and read, and it was not bookish. They would make them do stuff like Ekalavya kind of a story, right? Where you just look at the teacher doing and then observing and you learn. So experiential learning has been there, but I think over a period of time, the importance to marks and I think the focus shifted. I wouldn't say they're not important, but I think the focus shifted. So we at Moxie and Hopper, the idea entirely was to remove the focus from just about results, but to make it more about learning. So current education system definitely beautifully encompasses a result oriented learning where all child, they know their progress, they know they have first standard, then third standard, then 10th standard, they've passed. It's a great achievement. But we wanted to create an ecosystem where learning is more on discovery and need basis, and we wanted to bring in experiential learning in every form. So, for example, one of our products, Speak Factory, teaches English via activities. When we say verb, we don't really tell them this is a verb, identify the verb, underline. We actually get them bouncing off the entire room and saying that's the action word and it is a verb. So, what I believe is our product is definitely going to revolutionize, and it is very Generation Z requirement right now to change the way things are being taught. So, we aim at that.
Well, when you say back then, I'm talking about the age in which I grew up in school, doing schooling. Eklavya time was the golden years probably for India, but then somehow we lost it somewhere in between.
Right.
Today you see that. I've seen that with my, when my daughter went to a kindergarten. that everything was around touch and feel. You get to feel it, you understand how it is, and I think the kids are doing great at it, learning it fast. So going forward, these are great when it comes to urban India. What
Right.
happens? How do we take the same experience, into rural India, into places where it is still not there? We are still learning the old ways.
Correct. So I think in rural India, in fact, we have done this. We have deployed our product in tier 2, tier 3 cities, and we have actually gotten a greater response there than the urban geography. Primarily because I think they're very eager to learn. They're very curious. So already since they are, I'll just give you an example. We went to a small place called Sirsi, which is in Karnataka, and the exposure is pretty decent and limited, but it's not too much. So when we took our storytelling module there and we told them stories via Kamishibai, which is a Japanese form of storytelling, every single child there was so eager to learn how to make it, how to tell a story in that form, what kind of how do they learn artwork. So I believe they are the ones who are going to benefit maximum from my product, not just the urban, because of course urban kids have a lot of access to uh, too many things, but they are the ones who probably will appreciate it way more. So we have an application like our applicability is across, because it's all about experience, right? And kids love to play, so it's all around play.
Also, technology is also making it easier, isn't it? When you have to impart learning in a different way.
Absolutely. I was not a very pro tech person. I used to be like a teacher and student should be in one room. But I think pandemic has taught me that learning has no barriers. We have developed modules where we had the children doing all kinds of things at their home front while we are conducting the classes online. And it's been a great learning. Kids have really shown a lot of results as well, even though it's online. So technology has now found a new space in our product. And we also intend to keep the module hybrid, because I think the learning which still I still believe in the fact that the learning which happens in one room, when the trainer and the learner both are in the same place. So we implement a hybrid module of using kits and using personal space as an experience center, and create these experiences. So technology comes into play when we are creating these experiences and everything. So it's a definitely a fab step for our product.
Also, following my own kids, I see who are school going, and from two different age groups. I see
Right.
even these days the toys to have also no more. It's not about anymore about having a teddy bear or a Barbie doll. The toys
Right.
itself have become more experiential, which is kind of more towards teaching the kids, giving them an experience. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Um, there is a very small toy which is a building blocks. I'm sure you have it in your house. It's there in every household that I've been. For a 2 or 3 year old to develop the sense of color, shape, and actually placing it in the right space, just one toy is all is required to develop a very sharp, cognitive abilities. So I think toys are a great way to teach, and also activities. See, the thing is, children or children are kind of clean slated minds, right? So any experience you provide them, they start building on it. So the more detailed and the more intricate a particular experience is, that much that they enjoy. So of course toys provide that. And toys are also a great part of our teaching as well, because when we train and when we teach a particular concept, we have some kind of a game activity or a toy attached to create a greater recall and retention mode. So that hands-on activity makes them remember things much more than what they would have if they just heard the teacher say.
And in many ways, the way they learn, the experiential part of it also builds their character, their what they turn into, what they turn as an individual, isn't it?
Yes. See, I come from a corporate training background, so I have a lot of companies complaining about how empathy is gone missing, and how Teamwork is very difficult. We do training on training in corporates about teamwork, but I truly believe that these are the things which you actually train a child, because an adult will find it little difficult after forming all of those personality traits that they already have, right? So character building and actually soft skill development is what our company core is. We have different schools and everything for your technical concepts, but I think as a one-stop shop to develop mental agility and cognitive abilities, these modules that we have designed primarily aim at that itself, because we don't want them to learn math 1 2 3 4. The school is already doing a fab job of it. We want to teach them how to critically think. How do you analyze certain things? What is the logical reasoning behind certain things? So all of these elements, right, can come in very easily without any stress through experiential learning. And there's a concept called constructivism in education, they say, where they construct on an experience. Their learning is constructed on an experience rather than a concept told to them just like that. So just a simple example, in a storytelling session of mine, I was telling a story about a polar bear who could not sleep. And in that story, the polar bear keeps going around to his friends and asking them, how do I sleep? How do I sleep? Now, when I was telling this story, one of the child, who's just 4 years old, who he came up to me and he says, I'm feeling sad. I was like, why? What happened? He's like, well, Skippy is the polar bear's name. So he was like, oh, so Skippy is not sleeping only, and I don't like you for it. I was like, what did I do? He's like, you're not letting him sleep. Like, move the story along so that he finally sleeps. Okay. So I think just
That
to,
shows a lot of maturity also, isn't it? On
yeah,
the
yeah,
part of
yeah,
the
yeah.
child, that
Like, kids are amazing.
they can
They,
think on so many levels and not just, I mean, instead of saying the polar bear was not sleeping, he's like kind of saying, okay, you need to move on.
yeah, yeah. So
Critical analysis you want to bring out in the kids, isn't it?
yes, so they are looking at it. They are like, why is he going and asking? So, there are a lot of subtle things. Like, we did a shadow puppetry storytelling. While they were looking at the shadow play, it was a Krishna Janmashtami concept. We were just having fun. We danced, we sang. But while they were looking at it, the kids have also picked up on the ability of how the light and shadow actually work together. And we had feedback from parents where they went back home, they randomly cut out pieces and they started, playing around with the light. Like, just a simple task, 1 hour they spent with us, and now it's in their mind to do something different. And even the sharing bit of it in our activities or in our classes, we always do things together. We just don't give an activity to one student. So invariably they have to learn communication, they have to build the ability to work with somebody else. So I think it's very important. I think it's very important for all of us to cut out some time and do certain different things from our regular routine to build that cognitive ability to do different things. We are so stumped in certain situations, but if you keep our mind ready for any kind of agility, then it comes up. So we have a lot of parents who also are worried. How will their child manage? What will happen? We are sending them out in the crowd. I don't know if my kid can talk in public. All these issues are because they have not gotten enough things to do. So you just keep getting them to do different things. They'll automatically build this ability. This is called subconscious learning and unconscious learning. So yeah, that's what happens.
And also parents, in olden time, parents are more worried about the marks the kids would get, whether they would ace. Are you seeing in today's parents there is also this need for learning beyond the regular school curriculum?
Yes, but unfortunately, that is also for something like marks itself. Like, I just had this one parent who spoke to me who had a 5-year-old child, and she was like, I want her to start reading in 1 month because she has a entrance exam to give in some school. And then she was like, I want her to spell quickly because her friends are speaking very well. There was one more child who writes beautiful poems. So we just published it in our group saying our student did this. Immediately, 3 parents called me. They're like, teach my son also writing poems and everything. So, yes, there is a definite ask from the parents for alternative forms of learning and alternative skills. And of course, there is a pressure because of the entire ecosystem we live in as it is. So yes, we do have a lot of parents who appreciate this, and marks ka thing might have reduced, but future is always a worry for a parent, right? Like
I
they,
think the parents, there is a need for parents to be taught. Rather than
yes,
kids will learn, the parent needs to be given a reality check, I guess.
yes.
So, going forward, how would you take this to the nooks and corners of the country? What would happen? What needs to be done?
Okay, it's a very simple plan. We plan to actually penetrate schools, and we plan to penetrate apartments, any space that children actually interact with and can learn experientially. Like we actually deployed this small experience space, and in that experience space, you constantly have these workshops running and everything. We have already done something called as assembly storytelling, where every Monday, Wednesday I used to go to school and like refresh their minds early in the morning to kind of think different. So these are the elements. Like we are going to approach schools and institutions and increase the reach. Also, we plan to have centers across India where individual parents can come to us to learn, and of course, online is there. Like I said, we plan a hybrid module. We already have customers from UK, US, Dubai who want storytelling, Indian stories, and everything to cater to them. So online and offline is our plan to go. Lot of work to do.
Also, your startup also opens up, opportunity for women, who are, homemakers or who are looking for, second innings to start, after a break, to get
Right.
to be trained or to become a professional in your space, isn't it?
Right. Actually, we have three teachers who are homemakers who already are parents to two children. They have busy schedule, but they end up taking an hour. Like they have, it's a very simple model of working 2 hours a day. So you take classes for 2 hours, and we we have a nice circle that we are actually coming up with for women, not just homemakers, but who like to teach and who want to dabble into something different than what their everyday work is. Like I have a corporate trainer who comes in for 2 hours to train because she loves to interact with kids who are from 4 to 6. So and as it's a stereotypical opinion that women make great teachers, right? Because we do so.
Well, I personally, for me, interacting with kids is a stress breaker. Also,
Yes, yes.
I have a a 7 years old and a 14 years old. Between 7 and 14, it gives me a lot of they take energy and also give back. So yes,
I'm sure you're highly entertained at home.
definitely my little one. She keeps there's stories after stories she narrates.
Right,
So yeah, it's an experience.
right.
Finally, my Certainty is the channel for startups and entrepreneurs like you. What are your thoughts about our channel?
Okay, I have to say one thing that popped up into my mind the minute I looked at it's a completely like comprehensive learning platform. I mean, the diversity of the concepts that you have actually displayed. I myself learned a couple of things that I was thinking about, and you have gotten some information there about those concepts. I feel it's a great place to get one-stop shop for information, and the fact that there are other people speaking from their experiences, it makes it all the more relatable. So I think the content is really fab, and of course, for a startup community, any amount of information is less. So this is a great place, and I think the website has a great vibe to it.
We are aiming to be the Google of startups. So anybody and everybody can get as much information and every information in and around startups.
I'm
Thank
sure.
you
I'm
very much.
sure.
Thank you, Sindhu, for joining us. And we look forward to hosting you on some of our other shows.
Absolutely would love to be there. Happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.